This video is going to go through the solution to the 2-5 critique and explain that you had to complete in SAVAS or SAVAS, however you would like to say it. So your first question here, it says, well, we have Hannah and Enrique use different methods to solve the equation x squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to 16. And we can drag this bar to see what Hannah did. So she had the first equation, and then she turned this 9 into a -7 because she subtracted the 16 from both sides. Then it looks like she factored, so the factors of -7 that add to make -6 are going to be -7 and +1. And then she set up her two equations, and she got that 7 and -1 were her solutions. So does her method work? And yes, her method works. It's perfectly acceptable to combine like terms to get everything on one side and then factor if your factoring does actually work out. If the factoring would not work out, then this would not be a method that she could actually use. So there's Hannah's. So if we come down here to Enrique, looks like I can keep dragging this bar, and that's how we're going to see Enrique's method. So Enrique, it looks like Enrique did some factoring on the left-hand side. So x squared minus 6x plus 9, he turned that into an x minus 3 squared. And then he took, he said that when you square 4 or -4, you get 16. So he set up two equations using the fact that 16 can be found by squaring 4 or by squaring -4. And then he also got 7 and -1. So yes, his method is valid. It's perfectly acceptable to solve, and this is actually using the square root property, and this is actually going to be a huge part of our lesson for 2-5. His method is completely valid as well. He gets the same correct answers that, I'm forgetting her name, that Hannah got. So yes, this one is valid, that one is valid. And then we have part C down here where it says, can you use either Hannah's or Enrique's method to solve this equation? Well, if we would go with Hannah's method, we would subtract the 3 and I'd get 22. And in order to do that, I'd look for factors of 22 that would add to make 10. Well, the only factors of 22 that are positive, because I'm trying to make a positive 10, are 22 and 1, which would make 23 when I added them together, or 11 and 2, which would make 13. So Hannah's method actually doesn't work here. So Hannah's method does not work because the equation cannot be factored. So anytime you have a situation like this, you're not going to be able to solve through factoring. You're going to need Enrique's method, which is actually called, we're going to be using completing the square with that. He actually has the square root property tied in with this, and we will do an example where it's already set up where you can factor the one side and then take the square roots. So Enrique's method would work. You could factor the x squared plus 10x plus 25 to be x plus 5, the quantity squared, and then take the square root of both sides. You would actually end up with a square root of 3 in your answer. So that is one way that his method is superior over Hannah's. And I'm just going to flip over here to, this is the answers from the textbook. You can see if we look at everything that's here. So this is basically the same thing that we said. Let's go ahead and highlight that. So yes for part A, yes for part B, those are all good. And C, you can use Enrique's method. We can't use Hannah's method because it doesn't factor because your solutions are irrational. So hopefully this was helpful in giving you some understanding on the critique and explain for 2-5. And be sure that you go through and watch the lesson videos for 2-5 on completing the square.